Hi, Tim Unkert here, and welcome to my channel. If you've been watching my channel, you've noticed that I've done a lot of videos lately on Python and creating worksheets with Python. I thought about maybe making a slight direction change with the channel and going to creating worksheets with front-end development technology like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And then I thought, why not do a course? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a course on calculus where we use front-end development technologies to make the worksheets. We'll start with HTML and we'll work our way up. And here's a little post I put on it on my website that is a 90s blog experiment that I've been talking about. So we're going to do front-end development and calculus intertwined, okay? So this is going to be geared toward teachers, web developers who want to enhance their skill, and anyone who wants to learn some tough concepts and is up for the challenge. So are you? The videos of the class are going to start. We're going to start on a Chromebook. You can follow along if you're using a PC or a Mac, but I'm going to be recording this on a Chromebook because a lot of educators use Chromebooks, and I think it's kind of a cool development environment that a lot of people don't know about. We're going to install Emacs, but in the terminal. The reason being is it's pretty light in the terminal, and you can get a lot of functionality out of it. I think it's a great editor to learn, and so you'll be learning a little Emacs along the way. Okay, so like I said, we're planning to move into HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. When delving into CSS and JavaScript, we are going to take a look at some frameworks like Bootstrap and Materialize for CSS. And then for JavaScript, we'll look at React, Angular, Vue, some Node with Express.js we'll look at as well. And for a general overview, it's like a typical calculus course. You start with the limits, you go to derivatives, and you go to integrals. So when I taught AP Calculus AB, this was what we did, okay? Obviously, you know, we split it up so you could get time for the AP test. This course may be faster paced than that simply because you can rewatch the videos on YouTube and you don't have to go over things again in multiple lectures because you can rewatch the videos on YouTube. Okay. All right. So the first lesson, and I haven't planned out everything. This kind of popped into my mind this weekend. I thought this is a great idea. The very first lesson is going to be installing Linux on a Chromebook. I may have done a video on this before, but I think it's something you should learn if you're an educator and you are using a Chromebook, or anyone who's using a Chromebook, even if you're not a coder, because there are apps, there are Linux apps you can install for writing, keeping notes, that kind of thing. You can even use Emacs and org mode to keep notes. So, you know, it's worth learning how to install Linux. Is very easy, even though it's in the advanced tab. So we'll get to that. And so after that, we're going to talk about setting up Emacs. And I'm going to go through the setup of Emacs that we're going to use to start. Now, this may change as we go. Packages get deprecated, or they, you know, or you just decide to use a different package because there's something new and up and coming. There's tons of packages in Emacs, so it may change, but this is a good start. We're going to install a few basic things. We're going to do a few basic things for setup on the editor. You'll learn some keyboard shortcuts, which you'll have to learn because you're not probably going to be able to use the mouse in the terminal. So, and I think that's an advantage. You may not think so starting out, but I didn't think so starting out. But now I realize when you're spending a lot of time on the computer, you do want to stay away from the mouse so you can save your wrist. And I've grown to like the Emacs keyboard shortcuts. I know some people don't. I'll talk about installing the Vim keyboard shortcuts if people are interested in that as well. So this is going through a little bit of my setup. So we're going to go through the setup the first time. But then for people who are using multiple Chromebooks and want to switch between the two, I'm going to talk about just storing the files on Git. I'm going to store my configuration on Git, and I'll leave links to that in the description. So you can simply just Git clone my repo and then rename it as the .emacs.d, and you're good to go, basically. So it'll be very easy, you'll find, to move from machine to machine, Chromebook to Chromebook. Now, there may be some things you have to change if you move from a Chromebook to a PC or Chromebook to a Mac, or maybe a different Linux distro. But I think for the most part, it's going to be pretty easy to set up Emacs once we get that initial setup, and it'll be pretty good. And so we're going to have JS2 mode for JavaScript, Emmet mode for HTML and CSS, web mode for HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Prettier, I'm going to use that for just making your files look pretty. And then Markdown mode, because we're also going to touch a little bit on Markdown, because you can create some of these worksheets in Markdown, then export the Markdown to HTML or PDF if you want to. We're going to install Node, because when we use the Prettier package with Emacs, we do have to install the Node package, Prettier, and also we're going to be looking at Node later on in the course. So we're going to go through installing that. It's really not that big of a deal, just a simple curl command. Then I'm going to show you how to install Node, which I've written how to do here. Okay, so yeah, like I talked about, you're going to be able to install the entire Emacs setup from just a git command right from the command line interface. It's going to be helpful for people on multiple computers, as I said. We're going to start with exploring limits, with finding limits from tables. We're going to put some LaTeX into our HTML files and create HTML tables. LaTeX is useful for anyone who's writing academic papers, and especially useful for people who are in mathematics and want to create nice looking math write-ups and worksheets. Okay, I'm going to give you some challenges along the way as we go. I think just watching me and just trying to do it on yourself isn't going to necessarily be the best learning. So if I explain it and then I have you try the challenge and then watch how I complete the challenge, I think that will be helpful. Okay. So we're going to look at Bootstrap 5, Materialize. Materialize is Google's CSS framework, which I think goes well with education. And then React, Angular, and Vue, Express.js, we're going to look at that. And eventually we want to get to the point where we're automating the creation of our problems with JavaScript. We want to do that because we don't want to have to think of all the problems that we're going to make and then try and make them on a web page or a PDF. That's going to be difficult. And so to summarize, we're going to learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript, terminal form of Emacs. You can install the GUI too, because it'll be pretty much a crossover there. LaTeX and calculus. Okay, so that's what the course is going to be. I hope you guys are excited. I'm excited to create this course, and I'm going to see you in the next one where we're going to install Linux on a Chromebook. Thanks for watching. And as always, if you like this video, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. It really does help the channel grow. And also you can follow me on social links. I'll leave those in the description. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.